Today on Spotlight on the Arts, I'd like to introduce you to Linda Spencer and Roberto Regalado from Long Lane, Missouri. They're representing not only their artwork, but also the studio, Laughingwell Studio in Long Lane, Missouri. Welcome to JCTV, Spotlight on the Arts, coming to you from the studios at Lincoln University at our capital city, Jefferson City, Missouri. Spotlight on the Arts is endorsed by many artists and lovers throughout the state of Missouri, the United States, and now even viewers from YouTube crossing into all different arenas of the world. So thank you so much for being with us. I'm your host, Rick Jey, with special guests today I've been looking forward to for months now after viewing their artwork locally, and we'll be giving you a clue what that's all about here. But please join me, if you will, in meeting and introducing artists Linda Spencer and Roberto Regalado of Laughingwell Studio. That's in Long Lane, Missouri. Linda and Roberto, welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm truly excited, as you can tell, to turn the spotlight on both of you today here at JCTV Access. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thank you for having us.
Well, you're sure welcome. Linda, I'd like to start with you. If I may, if you can please tell us a little bit about yourself and those highlights of your life that best describe Linda Spencer.
Well, I think that I'm an odd combination of a businesswoman and an artist, because my husband and I have both earned our living as professional artists for 40 years. And it's a fence to balance on to walk that line.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I do all the heavy lifting and loading, and she does all the math.
And all the math. Now that's a good job, I think. Well represented too.
Yeah, if you have an aspiration to be an artist, don't neglect the fact that you actually have to have geometry knowledge.
Yes, we speak of that often now. I guess last month out of Sedalia, a lady by the name of Roswell, she talks about using geometry so much in her layout and design, what have you. And also just leaving a gentleman this afternoon at lunch, and him and his wife, we talked about how he looks at not only the artwork, but also the human element of designing and putting together a project. So it's great to hear that you all are.
Well, yeah, because we have to be able to read blueprints, because our work accompanies and supports architecture. So when we create a piece of artwork for a client, we have to measure the space in a uniquely artistic way so that we know that what we're creating is going to result successfully in the end.
Yes. Well, Roberto, turn to you now. Please tell us what this space is all about and where some of your artworks might be appearing, where our viewers have been able to sit and view these.
We have artwork in many spaces. We have Cabela's and Bass Pro as clients. We have Children's Miracle Network, Children's Village for 25 years. We had 35 murals in the pediatrics ward. Restaurants like McDonald's in Lebanon and Marshfield and Stratford, and clients like Larry Peace from Bennett Spring.
Oh my,
We just did a little bit of work for them for about a week, and Mr. Peace passed last Tuesday, but he got to see himself painted on one of the murals.
Excellent,
So he posed and I photographed him and I painted him. So it's not necessarily always how big the client is and the paycheck that is the size of the job, but sometimes it's just the job at that moment when you're painting. That is the best job that you've done.
Exactly. And we're going to share more in the second segment of what this involves. And it's quite an interesting layout, the steps, the procedures that they have to go through. So we're going to talk about that in the second segment. Well, now I'd like to ask you both again, how you were both inspired to become artists. At some point, was it? We talk about maybe it's in the genes, the gene pool. What have you saw, Linda?
Well, you'll visit with a lot of artists who are naturally talented people, and they will almost always say, I have done it since I was a child.
Yes.
It is an obsession or a quest from childhood, and Roberto and I have both experienced that. So when do you start? Well, I started when I was 26 and a newly single mother, and I incredibly got a job in a studio where they painted murals.
Oh,
it was so amazing that I got that job.
Oh my, so that was a big break for you.
It was a big break for me. Yeah, Huntington Beach, California, Phil Santos, who is the master artist, saw something in my abilities, and he really nurtured, and he aspired. He always said to me, all I want is for you to be financially independent of needing a man.
Oh my. And then comes along Roberto. Roberto shared
and that 3 weeks later, Roberto walked into the studio.
Oh, I was 18 when I first met Linda. It was like 1978.
Oh my, great. And you support each other, I can tell, so well.
But Roberto was just a mere child.
A mere
in
child.
1978, an obnoxious teenager. But somebody also saw that he is incredibly talented. Roberto is he's a natural talent, like none of us other artists are. He really is.
Now Roberto, let's go back a ways. You're coming from the island of Spain, or
No, I'm from El Salvador.
El Salvador, okay.
Yeah, we came to the U.S. in 1970 when I was 10 years old.
I see.
And I grew up in Orange County in Huntington Beach.
Beautiful.
I met Linda at Santos Studio in 1978. My uncle Carlos introduced me to Marv Bream when I was 16. He puts me to work on a painting that might have been a $100,000 painting.
Yes.
And that's how I got started.
Excellent.
I showed him my artwork from my freshman and sophomore years.
Yes.
And some stuff that I had done when I was 10.
Yes.
And he's looking at my stuff like this. He goes, you want to work here? And I'm like, yeah.
Might as well. Oh.
And that's how I got started when I was 16.
Well, tell him about you couldn't get there, so he would pick you up.
Well, I don't have a car. He says, well, I'll pick you up.
Excellent, excellent. Oh my, that's quite a story.
So major artists have insinuated themselves when we were young, and really that's an amazing opportunity that one's talent is recognized.
Yes.
By someone
yes.
older and more mature who is bringing something to the table. And that, you could have to be forever grateful for that.
Exactly. I feel that mine started when I was writing on the bedroom walls. I share a lot with the viewers, and then pretty soon I was out of the farm in southwest Missouri, Collins, Missouri, and we were into the Kansas City area, the public schools in first grade, and I'm doing these art works, and my artwork's on the board fairly soon, and so then you become an artist and follow through. And then some of you understand the acting, but I was approached at one time by Walt Disney himself about becoming an actor. So it's these opportunities, is what I'm saying, that they come to you in life, and sometimes you just got to latch on and go for it. Now, what brought you folks to Missouri?
I came to Missouri first. We were just colleagues at that point in 1990. I had teenage children, and we were all being challenged by some of the circumstances of living in Southern California.
I see.
And so they wanted to have a simpler, less complex life, and I wanted that for them. And I said, well, my brother lived in Springfield. And I liked visiting, and I liked people that I met, and I liked the cost of living factor. And I got to Missouri in 1991. I bought the farm in 1990, but I got here in 91, and I had made contact with a designer in Springfield, and the train started rolling. It never stopped. I thought I might have some career slumps trying to kind of renew myself in another state. Oh my God, Missouri was crying for the kind of talent that I was bringing to the area. And then a few years later, in 1993, after his wife died, Roberto came to visit. And I had just started this wonderful project called the Children's Village at Cox South in Springfield.
At Cox South, yes.
And
Beautiful.
I told Roberto, I said, come and paint with me. This is such a great project, and it's right up your alley, because he's lots of fun. He has a lot of fun, creative ideas, and that was called for in this particular project.
So you all have worked together for 40 years.
40 years.
And been married 18. Going on 19. Now, would you like to say, either of you, a hello to any family members while we have the opportunity?
Well, I guess my grandchildren, Ayla and Andrew.
Great, excellent.
Yeah, and their parents.
And Roberto, you have?
Just Peter, who sounds like Andy when he sees me on the inside.
Excellent. Well, your works are just magnificent, awesome, as they say nowadays, and people viewing the show now will realize what is behind all those murals at the different locations. And that the one at the Cox Center, Children's Center, I've been there with an aunt that in the past, so I am familiar with that too.
But it came down in 2016 after 25 years.
Yeah.
It was removed.
It did. See, that was like 5-6 years ago.
Right, and we have it stored in our studio.
Oh, I see.
We have the whole project stored.
That's excellent. Well, and now I let our viewers in on how. Well, I did. I shared with you that I had viewed the artwork first at Dr. Kirkpatrick's Lake Animal Hospital, and then the Bass Pro Shops in Missouri and Cabello. So I invite you all to now go take a look if you haven't seen them before. Can you share with us a medium that you like best to use in your work? What medium?
We prefer acrylics. Acrylics are great. They are plastic paints, and they are water-based. They dry fast, and you can paint in watercolor style like this, or more opaque like this.
I see, yes.
So it's a non-toxic paint, so you can get it on yourself and go wash with soap and water. In our studio, we paint on polymural, which is a plastic canvas. It's woven just like canvas. It's threads, but they're plastic threads. And it's primed with gesso, which is a plastic primer.
Yes.
And then you paint with plastic paint. So it's incredibly stable. In the end, you have, in the studio, I can unroll a piece of canvas and hang it 10.5 feet high by 50 feet in about 10 minutes on a lift. It's that easy to work with. It's just wonderful
The
material.
drawing element definitely is on your side, it sounds like.
Sometimes you have to be painting today and ship it by the end of the day.
Oh my.
So
I see how
it's a production type material.
Well, what is your favorite subject matter? Now, we're looking at floral, but I've seen all types of your work, from the man fishing, or the children, to the animals. What do you either have a favorite you like to work with when you really get into your element and enjoying what you do best or like best?
Well, I'm a landscape artist. I got put on landscapes when I was young, and that's what I'm efficient at. But when you're a commercial artist and you're doing it for money, guess what? You don't get to choose.
I guess.
So you have to be very flexible about your subjects, and there's a lot of research that goes into that. Yes, when we're painting for ourselves, we tend to do more lighthearted, fun things.
I see.
You'll see a lot of flowers in our paintings, and that's because we live on a farm that actually, when I bought it, had thousands of beautiful flowers already planted there. So.
And can you tell us, Long Lane, Missouri, where that's at? In Missouri?
Yes, it's on Highway 32, right between Buffalo and Lebanon.
Ah, excellent.
So it's 10 miles east of Buffalo and 17 miles west of Lebanon.
And Roberto, when you set to do a painting that you really want to relax in your element, what is your favorite subject matter?
I can go into the backyard, the front yard, side yard, in a field, and photograph or pick a flower, and then walk into the studio and just paint it in an afternoon. It's not necessary to be inspired.
Oh, I see.
You just see it.
You see it?
And you paint it. There is no tortured creative process where you're going through all these things that you got to do or not do. It's a painting.
When you're relaxing, you're in your element.
It's not brain surgery.
Yes.
You know, patient's not going to die.
Yeah, I think some of the people make every project such, like you say, a brain surgery, picking it apart. The elements got to be perfect. But if you just relax, I love to do clouds when I'm relaxing. I can just get really carried away with just doing the clouds. That's when I relax the most. Or water, for example. The other stuff is really tight, and I have to be somewhat of a perfection. Well, is there a lesson then that your life experience as far as offered you that you can share with our viewers, especially a beginner artist, either youth or an elderly person who wants to finally get the brushes out? Just
when I got my greatest education in high school, Mr. Nicholson taught all of us high school art students more art information than anywhere else.
Oh, wow.
Art Center, Golden West, Orange Coast, Laguna School of Art, all these places, but I learned more in those 4 years than any other time in my life. And he used to say, it's a numbers game. The more you do, the better you get.
The better you get, that's
And then my master said to me, Marv, he says, you got to paint about 1,000 paintings before you get a good one. So you're painting and you're going 712, 713. But eventually it just gets better. You cannot be a genius on your first painting. You can't. It takes practice, and you have to learn from every painting. And it's one of those things that you'll do something, and you're painting with somebody, you're giving a lesson, and somebody says, is this the right color? And you're going, the paint is on the brush. It should be on the painting. And then you can see if it's the right color. But we can have conversations, and we can have theory conversations, or you can just paint. Just paint. I mean, the best slogan.
Inspiration on its own. On its own. Well, we must take a break, Linda and Roberto, so bear with me, please. After the break, we learn more from the masters of murals, as I like to refer them to, and learn how they arrive at a project theme, how they bring it together, and any techniques maybe that they would want to share with us. So stay with us. We've got a lot more coming back at you.
Global warming is a problem.
Sound the alarm!
We think it's an important thing to save energy, to protect the environment, to protect the future.
Every who in Whoville makes a difference.
We need everyone!
Together, we can all make a difference.
Save energy with Energy Star, and then you can be
part of the solution.
Yeah! Go to EnergyStar.gov/kids to see what else you can do.
You're really not that talented.
You're not attractive.
Too fat.
You're too short.
Too old? Why don't you just give up?
Give up.
Give up. Just give up.
Welcome back, everyone, to Spotlight on the Arts. I continue with our special guests today, Linda Spencer and Roberto Regalado of Laughingwell Studio in Long Lane, Missouri, who comes to us today to give us an overview of 40 years working together as artists who are known for their large murals at places like Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops, and more. You get it all through a window only you can see right here at Spotlight on the Arts. Well, I'd like to go ahead and let one of you volunteer to answer. Can you step us through the steps that you use once, let's say, you have a commission at Cabela's or Bass Pro? Let's say from the conception to the final completion of the project.
Well, it starts with a discussion with a designer. And when you have a high-profile client like Cabela's, the designer sends us all of their research information and what taxidermy is going to be going up in the dioramas. And the dioramas are, when we did Cabela's, they were 12 feet high by 40 feet wide. And they're up high. So they start up at about 15 or 20 feet, and then they go up from that. But of course, we paint those in our studio.
Oh, I see.
So we hang the canvas, and Roberto has a real elaborate system for getting that canvas up there. And we do the research, and then we do little watercolor comps that have to be approved by the client. So.
Yeah, usually we'll do a 1 inch to 1 foot scale. So if it's a 12 by 45, it's a 12 inch by 45 inch drawing. And then we color it, we photograph it, and we do a lot of communication with the client through the phone. You can photograph it, email it, text it to you, you reply, I have documentation of what you said and when you said it. You make annotations on your reply, and then we start drawing. We hang the canvas and we start drawing.
Or we'll put in the sky first often, too.
That's at your studio. You
Right.
hang the canvas at the studio.
Right. Now you have a big, it's 10.5 because that's the width that the canvas comes in. We have to add the 18 inches at the bottom. To
So
get,
it's 10.5 feet?
it's 10.5 feet high
High.
by 45 feet long.
Oh, my.
And we put the sky in first. That takes about a day. And then we start drawing.
Yeah.
I'd love an invitation to come down and bring the camera to the studio sometime to show folks what that.
When we have something appropriate, we'll invite you.
And then we just start, we paint it up in layers. In other words, we cover the whole canvas with the first lay-in, and then we
Fill the
start.
tooth.
Yeah, and then we start detailing in levels. And so that the last level, when you're doing all of the finishing touches, that should probably take the longest. But if something bad happens, and it always does, and you have to stop 10% before you're done, you still have a very good product.
Right. And you start with the distance, I guess, and come forward. Some
what you
start
do.
at the front and go back. But
Yeah, usually you're right. You start from the back and layer the landscape. You know, the foreground rocks are the last thing that you should be finishing. So,
sure.
Yeah.
So that is finished and time to dry, and may have to ship out tomorrow, as you said earlier, Roberto. And even at the site, you run into problems because you're on a construction site, generally. You
Yeah.
shared with me.
we always prefer to insist on supervising installations.
Yes.
Because wallpaperers who install all do it different, and they will always make a mistake if not supervised.
Oh, I see.
So
you have to be there.
Because it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It's not wallpaper.
No, I guess not.
Yeah. So when you're walking out to lunch and you realize that somebody cut it in 5 pieces and started with panel number 2, and you're going, oh, yeah. Guess you're going to have to take those 3 panels down and put number 1 up first.
Yes, I think I would want to be on location. Now, do you have any thing in the works and in process at this time that we and our viewers could look forward to?
We have artwork at Lake Arts.
Lake Fine Arts Academy and Galleria in Osage Beach.
And
we just finished Larry's Fly Shop at Bennett Springs.
And Bill's Art Gallery in Camdenton.
Bill's?
Bill's.
Bill Woods.
Right on the square. Recently, I had 5 paintings at the airport in Springfield, and one of them sold. We always do Pure Enjoyment art show with Brewer Science at the Creamery.
In Springfield.
In Springfield. My tractor sold last year. So I consider us professional job applicants.
Yes.
Because as soon as we finish a job, we're looking for the next one.
Yes, sure.
And that's how you stay employed for 40 years painting.
Right. Yeah. And your works are awesome, so they speak for themselves, and it's as remarkable as awesome, like I said before. Well, do you have any contact information where someone would like to talk to you about some commission work? Let's say a website where you'd like to be reached, contact information.
On Facebook, you can go to Laughingwell Studio. Okay. You can go to laughingwellstudio.com for the website, or you could email us at mail@laughingwellstudio.com, or if you want to call me, it's 417-459-9354.
Well, Linda and Roberto, I want to thank you for contributing to Spotlight on the Arts. It's been a really inspiring visit with you both, and we're about out of time. So on behalf of Spotlight on the Arts and JCTV, I want to say thanks again. Do you have any closing comments?
Yes, explain this. That's a coin that was given to me by the commanding officer of the Chemical Brigade. Captain Susan Passero commissioned me to do a painting of a dragon, because that's their mascot, and the commanding officer gave me a engraved coin.
And he's so proud of that.
And I'm not in the Army, yet I have one of those coins.
And I said, that's my basic training unit in 1965 was A33. So I saw the A3, and that's almost like their emblems. So that's excellent if you want to take somewhat of a shot of that against them. Oh, that looks cool on my jacket. Thanks for Well, thanks again. I guess I would, any other comments?
No, thank you very much for featuring us, and we love living in Missouri and our nice, beautiful lifestyle that we have here.
And thank you for making the drive up from Long Lane. I sure appreciate it. Well, that wraps up another great show of amazing talent here featured on Spotlight in the Arts. My thanks goes out directly to our producer, Gloria Enlow, and her crew. And thanks to you, our viewers, for staying in contact and viewing the program. You never know who's, should we say, going to be on the program next. I like to keep those surprises in my back pocket. Look for more Spotlight on the Arts right here at JCTV. And don't forget YouTube. I'm Rick Jey saying thank you. See you next time.